Welcome. Lunch with Lawrence, episode 6, featuring my main man, Paul Sadler, a.k.a. Diddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, Paulie. I don't know, you got so many names, man. How's it going, Paul?
Doing good. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Hey, man, I am happy you are here, man, for episode 6, man. I'm excited, man. You know, I've got 5 episodes in the books, man, and I'm happy that you're here for episode 6, Lunch with Lawrence. So listen, the other day, man, I was on Google, right?
Okay.
And I was like on the computer, and I was like, I'm about to Google like Cleveland hustlers, right?
Right.
So I Google it, and I click on images, and it's an image of Paul Sadler's face right there. on Cleveland number 1 hustlers. Google it, it's Paul Sadler, man. But anyway, man, I'm happy you're here, man. I see you brought your son with you, Paulie. What's up, man? You good? Hey, man, that's dope, man, that you got your son with you today, man.
Oh, that's my right-hand man. So
yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. So as everybody knows, man, my show is about the hustler, man. And, you know, I had to reach out to you and get you on because Paul's out here making plenty of moves, man. But I want to take it back to, like, who introduced you to entrepreneurship?
I come from a long line of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So my father growing up used to always work at all his brothers' businesses. So my Uncle Happy had puppy pilots in Philadelphia back in the 60s.
Wow.
You know, so he had a dog kennel and all that kind of stuff. Then he had a Sadler typewriting company.
Oh, wow.
Right? This is all back in the day, right?
Yeah,
But my father and all his brothers, they all worked at their oldest brothers' businesses. So it all started, you know, before me for the most part.
So it was just in you.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. But I've been around it my whole life for the most part. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Mm-hmm. So I know we've been rocking since like high school.
No, for sure.
When we first met.
You had the detail company.
Listen, I mentioned that the other day on my Instagram. I was like, man, I had the Larry's car detail. I was out here detailing whips when I first started off. Like that was like the beginning of my entrepreneurship type journey or whatever.
Yeah. We used to come to your mom's driveway and get the cars washed.
come to my mom's house to get the cars washed, man. So, man, what I remember with you, man, like the very first business venture that I could remember is YBM.
Okay, the clothing line.
The clothing line, Young Businessman. Was anything before that?
Well, yeah. I had a throwback jersey rental business before that when I was in high school. That's how I initially made. Well, that and like old school. So what I started doing in high school, I would rent out the throwback jerseys. Yeah. So if you wanted to go on a date, if you wanted to go to prom, I remember homecoming and all that type of stuff.
Word.
So I was renting them out when I was in high school. Yeah. And that's how I started putting like the first old school together that I had. And then I started just like selling the old schools when I was in school. Wow. And that's how I ended up, basically, taking the cash to go to Tennessee State and then kept it going.
Yeah, so that's right. So you went to college. Mm-hmm. Okay, did you go through all 4 years?
I was there for like 15 minutes.
Sound like you and I both.
I ain't finished all 4 years. I was there a year, and in that second year is when I had wanted to just jump all the way into entrepreneurship. I really didn't even want to do anything else but entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started YBM. I started YBM when I was in Tennessee. Okay. But then when I came home is when we started pushing it. Yeah.
I remember YBM, man. So I remember you had the clothing line. I was back in, it was like everything was like a bedazzle kind of. Right. Yeah, the bedazzle shirts and the bedazzle coats and everything. Yeah. So I had DJ on episode 2, man, and we had talked about the spaces on 40th, right? When you created that space, right? So where did that vision come from? Like, what was that about?
Tell you how that wasn't even supposed to even be an incubator. My big brother Roland, he just came home. Matter of fact, shout out to Roland. Okay. He back then he owned tops and bottoms. He had a lot of nightclubs, and I was throwing the parties. Right. At the club, and I think then I was the president of the Young Dems, and then I had another company called the Cleveland Fashion Incubator at the time. Remember, you modeled at a couple of the
I did.
photo shoots.
Hey, Paul, listen, we're going to go through all the businesses that this man has had, man, because it's a lot. I forgot all about that one.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Come model for it. But Roland says you need an office for the most part. So that initially was supposed to be the office for him to do all the work for all the clubs, and then for me to do the party promotions, and that'll just be our headquarters for the most part. Yeah. So that's how that office initially started off. Okay. Right? Okay. Then, basically, I had made a deal with Kent State, and then I ended up, giving them the Cleveland Fashion Incubator. So that's how. So that piece, basically, we didn't need it for that anymore. Right. And then that's when I was going to DJ's mom's house to get my haircut. Me and Paulie was a baby back then, but me and Paulie were going over there to get our haircuts, and then, I just had the space. So I'm like, hey, why don't we put a barbershop down here, right? Yeah. And at that time, I'm just trying to just make it convenient for me to get free haircuts. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking at the time because really, realistically, like it was an open space.
Yeah.
We just built the walls. Me, DJ, and DJ's dad put the walls up, and then Roland came and put the floors down.
Nice.
And then next thing you know, it was 3 rooms. And then you took the room to the right.
Yep.
And then that ended up being like that was the real estate office.
My surplus property management office.
So that was that. And then remember, we ended up making that room to the left a conference room.
Yep. And
then at that point, it created itself for the most part.
Do you remember who all was down there? You had
a
bar down there. We had everything.
We had a bar down there, but all the businesses. Remember, Spunky had the studio.
Yep.
Skittles, she had Cupcake Mafia.
Yes. As a matter of fact, speaking of Skittles,
yeah.
Shameless plug. I got her book sitting right behind me, The Art of Making Money.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
She had that down there. It was Living Legends. You remember Donnie and them had, that's where they did all their stuff with MGK. Remember MGK used to be down there all the time.
Yeah.
And then it was DJ that was down there, and then you were down there. And then over the time, other people came through.
What's up with the twins? They had the tax company.
Oh, Christina and Crystal. They still got the tax company.
Christina and Crystal.
Yep. They were down there. I forgot the name of that tax company.
And then there was a hair salon. Was somebody doing hair down there?
Sheena was doing hair down there.
Yep.
And then Samantha, you remember Muffy? Samantha had a spot down there for a minute too.
Oh, word?
Yeah, she got a couple lash studios or something going on right now. She got
a lash studio downtown.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man. There was a lot of entrepreneurs that came out of that space, man. That was a dope, man. We used to throw we used to throw the wine tours in that joint.
Come on. The around the world
wine tours, man. Listen. Paul we had a very nice open space down there, and one day we just came together and collaborated, and we was like, man, we should have like a wine tasting event where people would come out and taste wine, man. So we ended up, and this is before social media. I think maybe Facebook always been around. I was never on Facebook though.
Yeah.
And we just word of mouth, sending people text messages, and it was a nice turnout.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a nice turnout, man.
We did a couple of those. It was,
yeah. The wine tours was really nice, man. So that brings me to everything else you got going on, man. I mean, you got your hands in a lot of stuff, man. You got St. Sadler Wines.
Right.
You doing your thing with the Lotus, Hollywood Hookah,
right?
Hollywood Rentals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk about it all, man. So since we were on the subject of wine, like where did that idea come from to start your own brand of wine?
Well, I was with Hennessy for 9 years. You know what I mean? I was with Hennessy for 9 years. So sitting back with Hennessy and just basically knowing the ins and outs of the liquor game. That's what made me just want to get my own brand for the most part, because it was just the money that comes up from alcohol. Alcohol is like liquid gold, right? So it's like the money you make off of that is just you can't count it.
Yeah.
Right. Hennessy is. I wanted to have something that could just stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Hennessy has been around for 265 years, right?
Wow.
It's older than America.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got a liquor company that's older than the place we call home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, so what's going to be able to sustain year in and year out, So I want to just start creating businesses that were just going to be around for the most part. So Paulie can take over things, because like right now, Paulie's learning all the businesses, right? So he's working with me every day.
Okay.
So he knows the ins and outs of all the businesses. So when it's time for him to take it, that's the only way to really create generational wealth. Like, it's one thing to, leave a lot of money. It's one thing to be able to keep the business going. Right, and somebody has to be able to take it to the next level. That's why he has to learn it all, and he has to pass it down to the next. And then just, that's how the Sadlers become the Hiltons.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Real talk.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. Yeah. So so in order for that to work, he has to, obviously go to college, get that brain power, and bring it back to Sadler Enterprise, and then it'll grow from there.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So when you came out with St. Sadler Wines, man, like, what were you doing to promote the brand and get it out there? And like, was it only in Ohio or Cleveland, or did you try to branch it out to other states and cities?
No, so right now, I just give you the whole breakdown of the wine company.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So right now, the wine company is basically at a halt based off of, I was working with this lawyer. This lawyer gave me like horrible advice. So we thought the licenses were coming back, and he really hadn't even filed for the licenses. So we went through this whole situation. So for the most part, we were in almost 48 stores, right?
Wow.
We were in a lot of stores. We were in conversations. We were talking with a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And we were just moving around doing a lot of different things under the impression that we had the license.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I was getting advice from this lawyer. He was,
Right.
we started it during the COVID,
Yep.
so he was like, oh, COVID's coming, COVID's here, so like, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, everything's coming.
Yep.
So I'm out here selling the state liquor stores.
Yep.
Under the impression that
everything is
license.
Yep. Yeah.
So boom, the feds came, kicked in the warehouse. You know what I'm saying? Where I was at, and they basically did a raid and they put me under investigation for the wine.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So they raided all the stores. It was like they sweep the whole city. Like you know what I'm saying? Raided all the stores, raided all the bars, and then raided all my establishments. And then basically put me on hold. And then basically what I had to do is get a whole another lawyer. I had to get a federal lawyer. The federal lawyer, because I didn't even know that you had to have a federal license to even have a winery, to even sell the wine, because I'm under the impression that just one lawyer is taking care of all this.
I see.
Right, so I had to get the federal lawyer, so he had to go through the process of getting all that done, then had to go get a state lawyer to handle the state licenses. So right now, we're almost finished with that process, so we're probably, St. Salad wine will probably be kicked back up at the top of 2022.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that's the breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the taste of the wines, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that happened, but it's part of business. You
Yeah.
live and you learn.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Business is not always going to be perfect. That's one thing we learn about being an entrepreneur. Like when you step into the entrepreneur realm, things aren't always going to go smooth.
No,
you know what I'm saying? But it's a learning process. So you learn from it, you dealt with it, you just keep it moving.
And I mean, it's just like, it's not, with me, it's just like, it's not about what's going on right now, because it's all about the greater later, right? Because my thing is always like, okay, that was 1 year. We like, in business, people always like to ask you how business is going, like in the first year.
Yeah.
We in that.
Right, yeah.
What you mean how it's going? Yeah. Right. Ask me year 4. You know what I mean? Then I'll tell you how it's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. But the wine business is a great business to get into. Definitely, I would just say, get the licenses in place first, and almost, follow. Just get the right lawyers to get that stuff done, because you be paying all this money out to these lawyers, and they just basically selling your dreams at the end of the day. And then, so just get the right lawyers in place to get that stuff set up right. So because basically what I'm doing is paying twice for something that I thought I already paid for. So we're just backtracking, you know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Lotus, man, brings me to my next thing. Lotus, man. Lotus is a great place. People come, hang out, day parties, night parties, kickers, events, brunch parties, and all that stuff, man. So talk about how Lotus came into play, because Lotus is like a partnership thing, right?
Yes, I took our 2 partners, Chris and Chuck.
Okay.
So we all came together. Chuck was in the nightlife business. I've been in the nightlife business forever, throwing parties. Chris has been in the nightlife business as the owner, for some years in different spots. So we all decided to come together and open up Lotus Lounge for the most part. So the nightlife business is, a great business to be in. It's nightlife,
Yeah.
And then this is a good time to be in the nightlife because, obviously when they giving money away, if you ain't make it, and, you didn't grind for it, you're going to give it right to somebody else. So, so I might even be on the taking side at this point, right? You know what I mean?
Of course.
I'm on the side of the person they're giving it to, so
right.
It's pretty cool. I mean, nightlife game, it's not an easy game to be in because the hours are tricky and you got to deal with a lot of different things, right? Yeah. So,
how did you come across the space that you're currently at, and where is it located?
It's 1575 Merwin Avenue, right downtown in the Flats.
Okay.
Yeah, right downtown in the Flats. So, I didn't sit in and come across the space. Chris came across the space.
Okay.
And Chris called me.
Okay.
Like, hey, I found the space. I think you would like it. And when I went down, I'm like, oh, it's the old alchemy. Like, of course. But when I went inside, obviously everything was tore up.
So what was those renovations looking like?
We had like $175,000 tied up in the renovation.
Okay.
But that wasn't even the killer part.
Okay.
The killer part was the holdup that the city gave us, because we had Lotus for a year and a half before we opened.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had Lotus in 2018, because Lotus didn't open up to 2019. We had Lotus in 2017, man. And the end of 2017, we got Lotus. We didn't open up Lotus to 2019.
Okay.
And that's how that went. Yeah. Basically because, when you're going through the city, like opening up a club, you got to go through city council. You got to go through design review. You got to go through what you call the golden ticket. I mean, the golden ticket, you got to get signed off by the fire. You got to get signed off by the health. You got to get signed off by everybody.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah. So, in the process of that, you just basically have to, make relationships, already have relationships within the city to make it be a little smoother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which we had in place, but it still took time to get stuff done,
So speaking on that, on the relationship piece, man, like I always talk about how important it is to have those relationships, man. Relationships over money. You know how they get the
sure.
relationship over money.
Yeah.
So like, what's your take on just building relationships? Like, you know, what advice you give him or anybody when it comes to like, listen, relationships is key.
Well, I've not been involved with anything that hasn't come from a relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when people ask, how did you do this? How did you do that? It was a friend or a guy that I knew, that I met, that I kept a relationship with, right? Yeah. So I like to follow up, right? Yeah. So if I get your contact information, even if I follow up and just say, what's up? Yep. You know, whatever it may be, I just I like to follow up, right? Yep. So like a lot of all my situations, even down to how I even got the Hennessy position, right? That was a homie of mine's dad who was cool with the president. Then I go to do the interview at Hennessy, and my dog, who I went to college with, is the vice president of Moet at the time. I don't even know this, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we in New York City. He walking through the hallway, like, Paul, I'm interviewing for this job. And he like, man, forget the interview, you hired. Let's go to the back, get a drink.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's all about the relationship. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, relationships, you know, you have to be able to take that relationship and make some money with that relationship.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Of course. Because a contact have to turn into a contract at the end of the day.
No, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Say that one more time, man.
A contact has to turn into a contract.
A contact has to turn into a contract.
Because if it doesn't, you know, you just got a lot of friends. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's how you got to work, though.
Would Hennessy be considered the last like job where you worked for somebody else?
Yeah, for sure. That was like my only job.
Yeah.
Outside of, I'm in college, and I worked at UPS. I rode the trucks.
Yeah.
You know, and then when I came home, when I had Paulie, I kind of got a little stage fright when I had Paulie. So I was in that entrepreneur role. But I was a new entrepreneur. You know, I had just did the MTV thing with MTV Super Routine.
I remember that.
Yeah, with the clothing line. So I was getting a lot of hits, and I was making a lot of money. But I still got a little scared because I was 21.
Right. Yeah.
And I was 22 when I had Paulie. And so I was kind of like, man, what I'm going to do? So I ended up going to get a job at the city in the streets department. I was a supervisor in the streets department. And then I was working at Cleveland State at the time because I was thinking I probably should go back to college to get my degree. So I was working security at Cleveland State to pay to go to school. But then I had a conversation with this person that was just an odd-ass conversation because they were like, sometimes you just got to just give up your dreams and just do what you need to do and keep that good city job. Right?
Had to be an old school person.
It wasn't bad advice.
Yeah.
Because even if I would have kept that city job now, I'd probably been somewhere, high up in the city. You know what I'm saying? And that was not bad advice. Yeah. It just wasn't. It was the best advice I could have got that day because it made me 100% say that I'm quitting these jobs. I'm going all the way into entrepreneurship because it's like that wasn't my setup.
Working a job, man, for me, like I worked plenty of jobs before in the past, and I feel like if you work a job, go to work that job to take something from it that's going to benefit you in starting your own business, customer service or whatever it may be. Those things are important to me.
Yeah. This is what I can say about like the jobs and what you take from jobs, right? You don't take anything from a bullshit job, right?
Right.
Like so from Hennessy, you know what I'm saying? The LVMH is Hennessy. Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy is the company.
Yeah.
Right? I consider that when I was at Hennessy, those were my college years. That's what I always tell everybody. That was my college. Because I went and I learned the whole liquor game. You see what I'm saying? And they took me around the world. Yep. You got to think, I was on the national team for the longest, and they started taking me international. Yeah. I was in France, 3-4 times a year. Yeah. We were just doing everything. You know what I mean? So it took me to a place where I ideally never thought that I was going to go inside of the corporate world. Yeah. Because without a degree, you don't get in the corporate America. Yeah. Because based off of a relationship, I was able to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, they taught me the whole liquor game in and out, and basically took me around the world. Yeah. So it was up to me to, what was I going to do with that position? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're getting a good situation with a good job that could teach you something that you could take away from that and incorporate it, then I think it's a good setup, But that's my take on jobs. Yeah. If you get the right job, and take from that job, because from the corporate setup, you learn customer service, right? You learn about HR, right? Yep. You learn about systems, system placements, right? And you learn about tracking systems. When I say tracking systems, you learn from the breakdown of how much wine is going out the day, what store it's going to. They show you the whole breakdown. Then you learn finances, right? The finance part is they're going to basically show you the breakdown. They're SWOT analysis. Like, they're going to show you everything,
Yeah.
right? And they're going to show you, like, how it breaks down monthly, right? They're going to show you the screens and all the different systems they use to break shit down. They're going to teach you how to hold conference calls every Monday with your staff.
Wow.
Because they're holding conference call with you every week. It all depends on what you're taking from this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I just took everything and just utilized it for all my businesses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was smart, man.
Yeah.
That was smart. So you got a few more businesses I want to touch on, man. The first one is Hollywood Hookah, right?
Yeah, Hollywood Hookah.
So
that's been a business for a minute though. We had that for a long time now.
Yeah. And so I mean, yeah, you did. And so like Hookah obviously is popular. Mm-hmm. But how did you what made you
get into the hookah game?
Yeah.
Man, my boy Hard Hookah, he has a company. So me and him met. He was doing hookah at all my parties at the time. Mm-hmm. Right. So he met with me one day and he was like, Paul, I'm gonna give you a percentage to basically just be able to just do stuff at all your parties for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine whose dad owns a hookah warehouse, right? Now he's in Atlanta. So I gave him a ring and just was asking him about the hookah business.
Yeah.
And he's a multi-millionaire based off of the hookah. So I knew it made money. I just didn't know because with hookah, it's all about it's a very low cost. You sell at a high price.
Okay.
Right. So it's like whenever it's not a lot of outgoing costs and there's a lot of money coming in, that's the business you want to be in. You want to put out no money and make all money. Right. So that's easy. Right. So you know that this is good.
Right. Yeah.
You get in a good situation. So I talked to him a couple times, went back and forth, and then I just invested the money and just jumped into the first thing. And I just basically just bought everything you needed to start a hookah business, right? Mm-hmm. I used all my relationships at the clubs at the time because at that time,
relationships.
I was throwing all the parties at all the different locations, the bars. And I'm also Team Hennessy, right? I'm also the Team Hennessy man. So I'm going out. I'm spending racks with you every week.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna need this hookah contract if you want to keep this shit going.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to keep this Hennessy card, I'm gonna need to get this hookah contract.
Right. Yeah.
So we took basically what I did. I leveraged the Hennessy card to get all the hookah contracts.
Yes. Yeah.
So boom. Right then and there, took all the hookah contracts. Then I had to get a staff. Right, staff is the hardest thing to find.
Okay.
So I ended up finding a good manager, Naylia. So Naylia was the one that helped build the team.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because Naylia had the friends.
Okay.
Right, and she knew people to reach out to. Yep. And me and her came up with this thing that we only wanted folks that played sports. Mm-hmm. Right, and if we could find folks that played college sports, we had a winner. Right, because we knew we had to find people that could, deal with adversity. Because when you're dealing with people, somebody I don't want hookah. You got to deal with 10 no's before you get a yes. Right. So you got to. A lot of folks don't know how to take a no. Yeah. Right. So, and if you play sports, first of all, you know how to play on the team. Mm-hmm. All right. And if you play sports, you know about wins and losses, and you got to come back the next day and still leave it on that court. Yep. Right. Yep. So we wanted players. Right. Yeah. So that's how I build on my businesses now. Like if I get the athletes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know I'm gonna have a good team because they can deal with wins and losses, and they want to win. Yeah. You can take a loss today and still go out there, put on the court, and win tomorrow. Yeah. That's what you want, right? So that was me and Elia's concept. So we ended up finding players, girls that played volleyball, soccer. You know what I'm saying? And we knew they played at least 1 year of collegiate sports. We knew they were gonna be a dog for us. Yeah. Right? Like I have people that started with the hookah company that work at Lotus, that work at all my other businesses right now. Yeah. Like the same people based off of just their attitude and their go. Yeah. But it was all based off of us looking for athletes. Yeah. Yeah. I even take a cheerleader. Yeah. Because if you on a cheer team, y'all may have been in a cheer competition, know? Yeah. But I still to this day, I like working with athletes. Yeah. Because they understand adversity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey man, that's what's up, man. The hookah, listen. So we don't went from Hennessy, St. Sadler Wines, Lotus, Hollywood Hookah, and now that brings me to Hollywood Rentals.
Yeah. So the rental business is just like this, right? It's real estate.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So if you can get cars, right, at a good price, at a good rate, and people need cars, right? And we know that we have a horrible transportation system here, like the RTA, the train system, right? Mm-hmm. We know that that's not good, right? We know we're in a blue collar town, right? Yeah. So people need to get to work. And if you're in a blue collar town, that means that you got a lot of people that are working blue collar jobs. They may have situations that may come across such as cars breaking down, right? we also knew that, I don't know, I was just doing my research on different things that was going on throughout the pandemic.
Yeah.
We also knew that the rental business cut their fleet in half. Mm-hmm. So whenever somebody cuts their fleet in half, there's always an opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. So they cut their fleet in half, that means rates are going up, right? Premiums are going up, deposits are going up, right? So where does that leave Cleveland, right? That left us in a position where it was an open market, an open space, and this is where Turo started to blow, right? Yeah. So Turo started to blow up because rental rates go up, right? Rental rates already started going up. That's why they came up with Turo, though. Rental rates have been going up for the past 6-7 years if you've been watching the trend. Yeah. And you've been seeing small independent rental car companies, become big companies. Yeah. Within the past 6-7 years. Yeah. So that's when I would say, like, hey, why don't we get some cars? You know what I mean? And there's different ways to get cars, right? So I tell folks all the day, like, everybody see, like, you see the Bentleys, the Ferraris, and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The money is in that, and there's some good money made in that, but it's still a note, right? And we still got outgoing costs with that. Right. But we got the paid off cars, the day-to-day rentals, right? Yes. The day-to-day rentals is where the money is. Because that's the cars that are paid off, and it's just everything that comes in is basically for a profit, right? And now, when you got the day-to-day rentals, those are the cars that the people got to renew. Those are the folks the mothers, the people that got to go to work every day. The hard workers, you know what I'm saying? The people that have really stuff to do. Yeah. It's not like these folks taking this car and they're doing Uber Eats. This folks take this car, they're doing whatever they can do. You see what I'm saying? And that's why you need to have a large fleet of that. Now, obviously, to have a large fleet of that, you have to have a lump sum of cash to go get these cars. Right. So I would say that's 10 times the biggest holdup for folks. Okay. Because you can't go get 100 cars with $100. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like, it don't work that way. You need about $500,000 to really be able to go and get a large fleet of cars and really be able to make that work. You know what I mean? So it's not something that you could just, I would say, walk into. And then after that, the main thing is getting the insurance. You got to get the insurance in place. And insurance isn't cheap. Your premium on your insurance may be $40,000. Wow. Depending on how big your fleet is. Right. Yeah, and it depending, so if you go in there telling that you got Bentleys, Ferraris, and you also got 2008 300Cs, they trying to see what the hell you got going on, because it's like, we'll cover these, we'll cover, let's say the 30 day-to-day cars, but we don't want to cover the $300,000 car, because you got 30 cars that are worth the amount of this one car. Right. So they don't want to, you know what I mean? Yeah, so we'll insure this, but we don't want to insure this. So you basically got to come up with a happy medium, or even get 2 different types of insurances in place to cover the different, the rental fleets, depending on how you want to do it.
Yeah, because DJ talked to me about it. Yeah. And, all I have is just, I got my Tahoe, which is my everyday driver, and I got the G-Wagon, which I'm about to start renting that out now. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure this part out too. I'm going to sit down with you or DJ, because it's like I can go the Turo route or I can go the independent route. Right? You gone the independent route.
This is what I say. I'm on Turo too.
You on Turo as well?
This is what I say. Like, if you're going to do one car, you're going to get your note paid.
Yeah, you get your note paid.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, it ain't no big money in getting your note paid. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, if you want to make some paper, you're going to need 50 cars.
Got it. I see.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, it'd be fun. I mean, but if you want to make $2,500, you know what I mean? Like, make $2,500.
But for some people,
that's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So you can get your note paid, but you got to also realize that car is going to be gone. Yep. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And when that car is gone, it's gone. And you're going to get wear and tear on that car. Yep. So when the car comes back, it's different things that you got to get done to the car. Right. Right. And if you got a rental business and you don't have a mechanic, like a mechanic, that is your personal mechanic, don't get in the business.
Don't get in the business. That makes sense.
Like, don't get in the business at all, because you ain't going to have nothing but a line full of broke down cars in the driveway. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Because people don't treat rental cars. I mean, it ain't theirs. It's a rental.
They get the rental car because they mess their car up, or they get the rental car because they don't want to put the miles in their car. Yeah. Or they just ain't got no damn car at all. Okay. You don't go get a rental car because you got 10 cars. Right. That you treat right. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't the game. So, like, I get cars, they come back all the time with an issue, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? I done had cars get totaled. I done had Rikers get totaled. You see what I'm saying? I done had cars come back with scratches all on the side. Yeah. They gonna come back with weed smoke. Cigarette smoke. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is what you got to deal with in the rental game, and you got to have a staff of folks. You got to have people in place.
Point details,
do all that. So probably at the business all day detailing and vacuum our cars. You know, so I mean, and then we got other people that do that as well. But you know, it's just like one of those situations where it's like, you know, it's no such thing as having a rental car business without a warehouse, without a mechanic, without this, without that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's Turo is the route to go.
Okay.
If you got a car.
Got it. That makes sense.
You got 2 cars. Even if you got 3 cars.
Yep, Turo.
Throw them on Turo. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Now, if you really want to get into the independent, you know, rental business, then we could talk about that. Okay. But if you really just want to, if you got 2-3 cars, you want to get your note paid, you want to drive whatever you want to drive for free, Turo is the route to go. You see what I'm saying? And then you be able to make a little money on top as well.
Right.
For sure. You know what I mean? But just know that car is going to be gone and eventually it's going to come back with some wear and tear.
Right.
Yeah. Every car. Every car can come back with some wear and tear.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Unless you just.
Yeah.
Like.
So the Rikers that you got, right?
Right.
Like what? Okay. So what would be your most profitable vehicle?
The day-to-days.
The day-to-days.
Yeah, the cars that are paid off.
Like the Camrys, the Toyotas, anything's paid
off. It's just full profit. Now you just bringing the car back and they're renewing them every single day. That car stay out 30 days, right? So let's say that car it go off for $39.99. Let's say it go off for just 20 days. That's what's that $11.97. Right. So a car that may have cost you $3,500 now is bringing you $1,100 a month, right? You see what I'm saying? So I got rental properties, right? Now I got $100,000 tied up in this house, and it's bringing me $700 a month,
right?
Or $800 a month, right? And I got a 30-year note on this house, right? So for 30 years, I got to pay this whatever note it may be. Then I got one house that's paid off, right? Which is cool, but it's just like I also had paid. I think I paid for the house. I think I paid like $45,000 for that house. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in turn, I done paid $3,500 for this car, and it's bringing me $1,100 a month.
You know what? That's crazy. That's even better than like one of the best deals I've done. I bought a house some years ago. I bought a house for like $7,000. Right. I had to put some money into it, but let's say I'm all in. I think I was all in like 11,000. That house is bringing me $650. No, $7. It was at one point $650.
Right.
That tenant moved out. Had to go back and renovate it, and I upped the rent to $750. So it's bringing me $750 a month. So I mean, I've had this house for years. I've made my money over and over and over again. But $750 a month on a property that, let's say I'm all in 12,000, right? I could go buy a car, you know what I'm saying, for $4 or $5 grand, and make what it's the same, almost probably $700 a month. It depends. The day-to-day cars are gonna be gone. Day-to-day cars are gonna be gone.
Because these day-to-day cars are for the people that are really going to work.
Yeah.
You know, these are your chefs, your folks that are cleaning houses. These are your hard. This is Cleveland.
Right.
These are your people that are renting these cars, right? And you got to know your customer, right?
Right.
So it's like I'm not looking for the most popular person. I'm looking for the hardest working person who need to get to work. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for the mind that got to pick the kids up from the daycare. They need the minivan.
That's
you see
good.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't care who. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
Paul is all about the coin, okay? About the dollar. Does that make sense?
It got nothing to do with me. It got to do with the dollar.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. That's a smart businessman over here, man. Smart businessman. So one of the last couple of things I want to talk about, man, in this entrepreneurial journey that we're discussing, man. One of the things that you did that was surprising to me a minute ago was you got into the politics.
Right.
So how did you get into that? That part of it.
I got into politics based off my man Mike Ruff and Sean Nines, right? So my boy Sean, he's Akon's right hand man. So they've been raised, and I'm a part of this group called the Emerging World Leaders, right? So we go to Africa and we basically light Africa up, right? It's called the Give One Project.
Yep.
So Sean at one point in time was living in Cleveland. This is how I get into politics. Sean was the president of the Young Dems, right? When I came back to Cleveland from college, my father connected me with Mike Ruff because my father didn't want me hanging out with my friends from high school. Okay. Mike Ruff was one of his homies that was younger.
Yeah.
But Mike was, he was in politics. He was clean cut. He was one of the head guys at the union at the time. And me and Mike just caught a liking to each other, so we was hanging out every day.
Yeah.
That's how I got my first house.
Okay.
On 116.
I remember that property.
Yeah. So he ended up getting me that house. You know what I mean? And that was like a highlight. And then he ended up introducing me to rolling. There was a lot of different things that
just based
off of that relationship.
Relationships, man.
But so when I got into politics, Shine and them just basically just booked me on in, and they put me on the committee, right? So I was on the event committee for the Young Dems, and it just introduced me to all the judges, all the lawyers I needed to know, all the city council people, the mayor, And then I ended up really based off of my dad, because this was all my dad's relationships.
Yeah.
This is how I ended up getting all those political contracts, because it was like they always had a place for Sadler's boy. Like the Reverend son always got a job.
Yeah.
No matter how it goes, like we're gonna keep Sadler's son in the mix.
Yeah.
So that's really how that went. So I went from being just an event coordinator on the Young Dems, and I was working with the county commissioners, and I went from there to working for the mayor. And then from there they put me to be the social media director for Cleveland, and then we were doing like all the stuff for all the campaign. I worked on so many different campaigns. The 107 campaign when we did the first school levy for the city of Cleveland. All Mayor Frank Jackson's campaigns. Judge Pinky Carter's my girl. We did all the Pinky stuff, and Pinky's been winning for judge ever since then. I worked with Mike Nelson. Everybody, anybody you can think of in politics. I work with. You know what I mean? Okay. So then that led us to working with the president, and then even working on stuff for this last campaign. I've been out of politics for a minute, but like when your name is in the hat, it's like for some reason certain names just always get picked out there.
Right.
That's politics.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter if you in it or not, if your name is in that hat, we only pick 4 names. It's the same 4 names we pick every time. Yep. We got a contract. Yeah. So like even with this last presidential campaign. With Biden, I had a contract with Biden doing that stuff. I mean, nothing that I had to promote. Right. I just get some folks together. Yep. Do a little bit of work. You know what I'm saying? But you always get a contract in politics. But that's the only reason I continue to even still dibble and dabble in politics, is because the thing about politics is like this, man. Like for example, the raid goes down. They raid all the stores, raid all the wine, right? Make a couple calls. You know what I mean? And now, obviously you got to pay some fines and stuff, but those phone calls that can be made are the phone calls that potentially get your ass out of jail. Yep. You know what I mean? Yeah. But and that's just the name of the game. So that's why politics, if I can advise anybody, definitely always get involved in the political efforts in some form or fashion. Because you never know what's gonna happen. Because something as unfortunate as the wine company, even though it's not a major thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, so a person that's never been in trouble, or never had any issues like that's a big deal in my eyes. When I go to my friend, it's no big deal. You know what I mean? Right. But in my eyes, it still is, because I don't deal with stuff like that. Right. Facts. But that's what your political connections come into play.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, Paul. Well, I got just a couple more questions, man. One of the things that I always ask each guest that come on the show is Cleveland. Right. Obviously we've been here. You entrepreneur here. You have multiple business here. Cleveland is definitely like your bread and butter. How do you feel about the city of Cleveland as a whole regarding entrepreneurship? And what's your take on the city as of right now?
So here in Cleveland, if you want to connect to somebody who you don't know at all, you can get their contact information and link up with them. It's not the same in other cities, right? So that's why I always like Cleveland. Cleveland's always been a phone call away. Right. Because, in order to get in contact with you, they can contact me or contact this person, get in contact with that person. Right. And we can get a meeting set up. Yeah. If the meeting is supposed to be set up. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's how I feel about Cleveland. Cleveland, on the terms of on entrepreneurship is great in the city of Cleveland, because Cleveland is an open canvas. Yep. Right? Yep. And you can paint it to however you want to paint it, if that's what you're looking to do. You see what I'm saying? So entrepreneurship is all on the individual too, right? So you could be in Tupelo, Nebraska, and you the man, if that's what your mind is on. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just it's not about where you're at per se. A lot of times, it's all about where your head is. Yeah. So that's my take on entrepreneurship. Wherever you at. Yeah. Yeah. But Cleveland is just a good place because you still have a large African American population, right? And as an African American entrepreneur, a lot of times you need to lean on your people to start your business up, depending on what's going on. So that's a good thing as well, So I think it's a very good place to start your entrepreneurship endeavors and keep them rolling. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just would advise, with entrepreneurship, is just try to create something that's going to create residual income, and that's just going to sustain. Because I've had a bunch of businesses. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've only had a few
Yeah.
that sustain the test of time.
Yeah.
You know, like Hollywood Hookah's been around for years. Like the nightclub business is good, but we know nightclubs can be in and out. It can be temporary, right? Wine business can sustain itself. Rental business, it can sustain itself, right? You want to just create stuff that can sustain itself. Rental properties, you know what I'm saying?
Right, 15 years in the
15
game.
years, you're going to be able to sustain yourself. You're going to need a place to live. People going to need something to drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and people will always drink because it's an addiction.
Man, listen.
Yeah.
So what's your most profitable business?
Whatever, or just
right now? What's your most profitable business? What business are you running right now? Where it's like this business right here is it for, you know?
The nightclub business is good, right? Rental business by far is going to be the most profitable one because it's residual income and it comes in daily. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when you have the amount of cars that I have, it's just you're going.
How many cars you got now?
Right now we got 36.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's I'll be able you're gonna make money with 36 cars.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, basically I got 36. I look at it like, all right, I got 36 houses that's getting rented out every day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the rental car business, the club business, it comes in lump sums, right?
Right.
So it's just like, you know, obviously you get paid weekly, but the lump sum comes when you got a great night. You see what I'm saying? Bottle service, things like that. So that I would say that's second. Hollywood Hookah is just consistent.
Okay.
So you got a consistent, steady cash flow that's coming in every single week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good contracts. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say each contract brings you, let's just say $1,700 a week. You got 5 contracts.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's good money.
That's great money.
It's
great money, especially for Cleveland. I still feel like, for me, Cleveland.
And then you ain't stepping a foot in there. I ain't never sold no hookah. Not me personally.
Right.
Like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't even smoke hookah.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I ain't did it.
Yeah. I think for me, man, like you can have a very comfortable living in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah,
You know,
for
like
sure.
cost of living is low. You know, I mean, $5 grand, $6 grand a month is a cool income to live comfortable. And then once you're making 10, 15, 20, 30,000 plus dollars a month, you're still in Cleveland. You're living a really good life.
No, for sure.
You know, I mean, you could do what you want when you want, travel, you know. So Cleveland to me is always going to be like home because, I mean, one, it doesn't cost much to live in Cleveland. To live nice in Cleveland doesn't cost much at all.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really big on the city, man. I feel there's so many new things coming. So outside of that, man, is there anything new that you want to share? Anything that we don't know about yet? Anything you working on that you want to share? Or you want to keep it private?
I'm gonna keep it private, but I got something coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got something good coming.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so like, you know, probably like before All-Star game, but I got something coming.
Nice. I know the city is definitely getting ready for All-Star.
Yeah, so All-Star, that was half of the reason for me like getting a rental business started a year ahead of time.
Right.
Because I wanted to have it already established.
Man.
By the time it hits, right? So by the time All-Star games come, like everybody know, Hollywood Luxury Rentals is what you
So
call.
real quick, how do you advertise Hollywood Luxury Rental for the people that live out of state? How do they find out about
The
you?
website, Hollywood Luxury. So you
Okay.
Google Hollywood, right? So the good thing about it is I have Hollywood Hookah and Hollywood Luxury Rentals. So people have been buying Hollywood Hookah for the past 5 years, going to the website, buying online, buying this, buying that. So that was part of the reason why I named it Hollywood Luxury Rentals as well.
Makes sense.
You so it could all be like just it's a branded thing, right?
Yeah.
And Hollywood people always ask me this all the time. My auntie calls me Hollywood.
Okay.
That was my name from a baby. My auntie Robin always called me Hollywood.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, it was like Hollywood Luxury Rental, Hollywood this, you know what I mean? That was all based off my auntie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's what's up.
That's the only reason why this stuff is called Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
You know, but it was easy to get the Google optimization with another Hollywood business, right? So that's the only reason why we did Hollywood Luxury Rentals.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So somebody Google rental cars Cleveland or something like that.
Right, because they're going to Google luxury. If you're looking for a luxury car,
Yep.
I'm
Most people coming to Cleveland looking for luxury because there aren't any Hertz and whoever else. They're not selling luxury vehicles when you come to Cleveland. So that makes sense.
And even like a GLE, like even like the medium joints, like so like I get hits for the Porsche Panamera, the GLE Benz, you know, like the stuff that the mid grade stuff.
Yeah.
The mid grade stuff does great.
Yeah.
You know, it does great. Those I wouldn't consider those to be day to days.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously the prices are much different.
Yeah.
But those move good.
Okay.
You know, because you need mid grade. You need mid grade. People like them GLEs. They like the you know, you may not want the S, you want the E.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You need some E's. You gonna need some S's.
Yep.
But the E's can move. They're gonna move more than the S's.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, we got one Bentley. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't need 50 Bentleys.
No, makes sense.
Not
Not here in Cleveland yet.
No, not
here in Cleveland yet.
Even like on the out of town side, because I got a couple buddies. That's how you even getting into the luxury business. Because a buddy of mine out there in LA, he owns a luxury rental car business. You know, and he's banging the day to days. That's how I got hit the day to day between him and my man Norman. Right, my man Norman. Shout out to Norman. So he got the slingshots right downtown. He got a fleet of slingshots. Yep. He got the day to day rentals. He got the bikes. That's my boy.
Yep.
And I kick myself in the ass all the time because Norman asked me to jump in on that scooty bike business before he even started that business. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's probably 5-6 years ago. And at the time, I just didn't do it.
Yeah. I
should have did it. I said I was going to do it with him, and I did not do it. He ramped that thing up, and it is popping now. Yeah. So, like, one thing as an entrepreneur, too, don't ever be scared to get 10 grand to one of your friends. Yeah. Because, goddamn it, that 10 grand.
Listen. I already know. I got a friend right now who ran a business by me the other day who asked for 20 grand. Man, I said I got you. Yeah,
if it's the right business plan, and you know, at the time I wasn't even thinking Norman was right because it was all about them bringing the bike back. Yep. Because they gotta run out again. It was just real estate to him. Yep. And he kept saying that. I just didn't get it at the time. Yeah. I get it now, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. But at the time, I could have got in on that business too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man. Well, Paul, man, listen, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. This was a really great interview. Once again, y'all, if y'all Google Cleveland Hustlers, look for Paul Sadler's face online, man. But I appreciate you, man. So as you know, man, I serve my guests lunch. I got Chef Jamie Smith, who's preparing us an amazing lunch for today, man. So we're gonna talk, break bread, man, and just enjoy the rest of the day, man.
Sure, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.